Good morning, class. We are starting bright and early at, not really that bright and early, 9 a.m. And today, parents, I wanted to give you a break. We are going to be meeting in our pajamas until further notice since we are all virtual and online. So, you can let your parents know, or I'll send out an email, put it in Canvas that we will be doing pajamas. One less things for our parents to do. So let's get started. So I emailed your parents and I sent it to y'all's email as well. Today we are going to be doing an interactive read aloud. We are going to be going over listening actively. I want you to ask relevant questions to clarify information, answer questions using multi-word responses. So with that being said, I'm going to switch over. We're going to be reading a book called From Seed to Plant, and it is by Gail Gibbons. This book has really good vocabulary, has tons of clarification and explanation, clear diagrams. You're going to really get to dive in deeper into what we are going to be reading today. And if you have any questions, we're going to take questions for the second time around, so I'm going to read it twice. But it has a wide variety of things, and we'll get started. So I'm going to switch over to our book, and here we are. So I just want to recap. So for my little readers today, we're going to read this book called From Seed to Plant. I already said this. Now we're going to read the book a couple times, and I want you to have your listening and your thinking caps on, okay? We really want to keep our listening and our thinking caps on. So for the first time, I'm going to read through, and I want you to keep your questions and everything to yourself. And then at the second time around, you can raise your hand, you can ask questions. And I'm also going to be stopping and asking you questions that I want you to be thinking about. So for our main reason, we want you, like I said earlier, I want you to be listening and actively listening. I want you to ask your questions. How does this all sound? Does it sound like a plan? Are you ready to get started? Do we have our listening and our thinking caps on? Are we ready? All right. I'm going to do the first one through, and then we'll chat for a minute, and then I'll read it again. From Seed to Plant by Gail Gibbons. Most plants make seeds. A seed contains the beginning of a new plant. Those are all different types of plants. Seeds are different shapes, sizes, and colors. All seeds grow into the same kind of plant that made them. Many plants grow flowers. Flowers are where most seeds are. A flower is made up of many parts. At the bottom of the pistil are tiny egg cells called ovules. There's also this thing called a stiple, a stem, and in the center of the flower is the pistil. There's also a petal, and then the sticky part at the top of the pistil is the stigma, and then there's the stamen. Stamens make yellow powder called pollen. Some of us can be allergic to that. Before a seed can begin to grow, a grain of pollen from the stamen must land on the stigma at the top of the pistil of a flower like itself. This is called pollination. So pollen is in the air. Pollination happens in different ways. Often wind blows pollen from flower to flower. This is why we get allergies. Bees, other insects, and hummingbirds help pollinate too. While they visit flowers for their sweet juice called nectar, pollen rubs onto their bodies. Then they carry the pollen to another flower where it comes off onto its pistil. If a pollen grain from a flower lands on the pistil of the same kind of flower, it grows a long tube through the pistil into an ovule. This is the beginning of a seed. The seed grows inside the flower. Even as the flower begins to die, as the seed becomes bigger, a fruit or pod grows around them. The fruit or pod protects the seed. When the fruit or pod ripens, it breaks open. The seeds are ready to become a new flower. Some seeds fall to the ground around the base of the plant where they will grow. Some pods or fruits open and the seeds pop out. Sometimes when birds eat berries, they drop the seeds. Other seeds fall into streams, ponds, rivers, or the ocean, where they travel on the water until they stick to dirt along the shore. The wind scatters seeds. Some seeds have fluff on them that lets them float to the ground like tiny parachutes. Others have wings that spin as they fall. Animals help scatter seeds too. They hide acorns and nuts in the ground. Some seeds have hooks that stick to their fur and animals or people's clothes. Later they drop onto the ground. A flower bed or vegetable garden is beautiful. Seeds are planted to grow in the gardens. The seeds come in small envelopes or boxes. Directions explain how to plant the seeds and care for the plants. The beginning of a plant is curled up inside each seed. Food is stored inside the seed too. The seed has a seed coat on the outside to protect it. A seed will not sprout until certain things happen. First, it must be on or in the soil, then it needs rain to soak the seed and soften the seed coat. When the sun shines and warms the ground, the seed coat breaks open and the seed begins to grow. This is called germination. A root grows down into the soil. The root takes in water and minerals from the soil for food. Up grows a shoot. Green leaves grow up from the shoot toward the sun. The plant grows bigger and bigger. The leaves make food for the plant from the water and minerals in the soil, the sunlight, and all the air around the planet. Finally, the plant is fully grown. Buds on the plant open into flowers where the seeds will grow. Many of the foods people eat are seeds, fruits, and pods. They are full of nutrition, vitamins, minerals, and they are tasty too. Okay, for time's sake, we are going to go back through the book and we are going to see. My first question is, what does a seed need to grow? So can anybody tell me what a seed needs in order to grow. I'm going to give you just a second. Okay, so yes, let's do this. So normally I would have you think, pair, share, and turn to a partner and chat about this for a minute. But since we are not, I'm going to let you think about it. And let's call on Abby. So what does a seed need to grow? Abby says a seed needs water, sun, soil, and minerals to grow. Is that correct? Abby, that is correct. Next, let's think about what happens after the shoot grows up. Do we remember that part of the book? Let's see. Up grows a shoot. Green leaves grow up from the shoot toward the sun. So let's call on Lane. Lane, what happens after the shoot grows up? Lane says leaves begin to grow. Is Lane correct? Yes, Lane is correct. Okay, let's think about this. What is one way seeds can be scattered? Well, let's think. In the book, it shows birds is one way that, or animals is one way that they can be scattered. Let's call on Jaden. Jaden, what is one way? Can you name one way that seeds can be scattered? Jaden said wind is another way that seeds could be scattered. That is correct. Right here, it shows wind. And then another way is also water. So those are all really great questions. And then our last question is, what kind of plant, this is a trick question, what kind of plant will a rose seed grow into? Let's go back to the beginning of the book. It says, all seeds grow into the same kind of plant that made them. So let's call on Carson. Carson says that if it's a rose seed, then it'll grow into a rose. Is Carson correct? Yes, Carson is correct. Okay, so since I said like we're on a lack of time, normally I would have you think, pair, share. And can anybody share their experience with plants, or do you have any experience with plants? For me, my experience is with my grandmother. My grandmother has always had a garden, and she never kills anything. I'm always the one who kills it all. I'm not a very good plant grower or gardener. She's way better at that than me. And then I would ask you, but we really are running out of time. So next time, come to class prepared and we will chat about your experience with plants. To wrap things up, what did this book teach us? So this book, in my opinion, taught us the life cycle of plants. Can everyone agree? Can everybody give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or in the middle? I'm going to give it a thumbs up. And for your exit ticket today, I'm going to have you fill out a Post-it or a note card. And on one side, it's going to be called I used to think, ... and then fill it out. And then you're going to flip it over. On the next side, it's going to say, but now I know. And then you're going to fill it out. And then I want you to take pictures of both sides and turn it in to Canvas. So that's it for the day, guys. Let's wrap this up and I'll get that graded.